Semper Gumby's commenting before we even go live. He's got like Jedi stuff going
I'm
on because
telling you.
we weren't even there, and he's able to comment. So
he's doing it blindfolded too.
goodness gracious,
Just Jedi mastered.
I tell you what, come
Yeah,
on,
it's
Luke.
like this weekend at Jasper Jeep Jam. It's like Mr. D. You turn around and he's right there.
He's there with a camera, taking a video. Every
Yeah.
time I look at him, he's like, "Hey, we're live. Hey, we're live." I was like, "I'm alive too. I'm alive too, dude."
That's one of the hardest working mans on social media right there.
What?
I'm
He's
telling
putting
you.
out at least 15 videos a day. I love
He
it.
went live
Boy.
3 times today.
Man.
But I got every notification after he was already gone.
Well, hey, everyone. We are live on the Overland Podcast. Thank you for joining us. We are excited to be here on this Taco Tuesday with one of our favorite faces that floods our Instagram each and every day. And we want to...
Yeah, he's in the other room right now.
We heard him just a little bit ago when I guess when the Amazon made delivery, he got excited. So
yeah, he only likes the UPS drivers. They give him treats, so they can bribe him.
Nice.
Well, the Amazon people here, we've got a little Frenchie, and she is the nicest, wouldn't hurt a fly dog in the world. But when she's sitting out on the front porch, they will not get out of the van. None of them. None of the Amazon people get out of the van. And they have texted my neighbor and said, "You're gonna have to tell your neighbor to put their dog up before I deliver your package." I think it's hilarious. But
So I have this mental image of the front of your house being like the mailman on Funny Farm.
Yeah.
With Chevy Chase, where they just fling the package out,
throws it out,
and they go by.
Yeah, they just throw it. Well, the UPS guys are a little bit better, and FedEx, they'll actually walk up, and throw a treat out or something like that. But Amazon, no, they ain't getting out.
No,
they don't get out.
No. I've had them call me from the driveway before. The contract delivers, but they don't drive Amazon cars. Somebody called, and this lady, she didn't speak very good English, and I was like, I couldn't understand her, and she kept saying dog outside, and I was like, he's in the backyard, and I was like, oh, I get it now. I got you.
He was making.
She wasn't about to get out that car.
Yeah. Well, hey, Chuck, thank you for joining us. Thank you for taking time to be on here with us. Love what
Appreciate
you're
the
doing and love seeing the content that you put out. Tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, what you do.
Man, I'm Oklahoma born and raised. I come from a big family. There's 6 kids in my family and stuff. And so there's 3 boys and 3 girls. So we were trying to make a sports team. And but I graduated, stayed around, went off to college local, in state, I spent about 30 years, almost 30 years in law enforcement. I worked mostly narcotics. I was loaned out on some state violent and drug and violent crime task force, and I spent some time on a federal task force. I spent a little over 5 years on one. Most of my time was doing that, man. Before I was assigned to a triple letter agency. Met my wife up there, shoplifted her before I went back to my agency, and so we got married about a year later. And she's a good gal, boy. She allows me to do all that stupid stuff you guys see on our socials and stuff. But yeah, man, I retired out of the pension system 2019, and I did 2 years with the Oklahoma Attorney General's office. So that's kind of the career side, but outside of that, man, I was an athlete most of my adult life. I was a soccer player, which wasn't that big a deal in Oklahoma when I was a kid, but I played since I was 5, and I played on some competitive teams and stuff. And so I played till I was 38, got hurt, laid off a couple years and came back, and I've lost about 60 pounds of the weight that I put on. I went into strongman and Highland games. And so I did a lot of competitions in Springfield and stuff, and traveled with that, and got into the kind of the A division, which is kind of semi-pros with that. And man, if there's I'm a wild hair guy, dude. If there's something that I go off on a tangent, it may take me 2 days, 2 hours, 2 minutes, or 2 months, or 2 years, and I'll see it to the end, and then I come back and start on something else. But I've got one little girl. She's 15, and that dog Preacher, man, that's about what we got going on right now.
Well, I think Tony could do some sympathizing with you on the 15-year-old daughter these days.
Oh, man.
So y'all could probably talk for days on that, give each other advice. And
man, you give me some
hair,
I appreciate it. Yeah, we can. Little boys. That's all you got to say right there.
Yeah. I tell you what. Well, my I've got one that's 29 and one that's I think she just turned 23. So
Yep.
they live together and support themselves. So I'm sorry, guys. I've
Hey,
been
man.
there, done that, and I'm
Yeah.
living the life now. So
You served your
it's
time.
coming. It's coming.
Yeah.
The good life is coming. Y'all just wait.
Yeah. Yeah. My wife, my daughter's out of town with traveling with the grandma for spring break this week, and so we've been kind of empty nesters and been testing the waters. The water's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, we're ready. I mean, I say that we missed her, but man, yeah, there's a lot of potential coming.
People always told me about that empty nester stuff, and I was like, "You mean the best life ever?"
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. I know I'm still going to be sending that money out that way, but for a little while. But
McKenna keeps talking about joining the armed forces, maybe Air Force or something, and then getting her going to college and doing something like dermatology or something. So she's looking at heading out right after high school. So
man.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully the military help you pay for all that, because that sounds expensive.
It does. It sure does.
Yeah, she was. Our daughter was looking at. She just did a cheer camp over at University of Arkansas. So, matter of fact, I dropped her off and went and filmed an episode.
Nice.
And so she's scoping that stuff out. We did a camp down, and she's been a gymnast and a cheerleader her pretty much ever since she was able to do it. So we went down, and she did a camp down in Waco for Baylor, and checked them out. Didn't like that school, and I'm like, thank God, because Arkansas is in-state tuition for Oklahomans. And Baylor's just expensive for anybody. You can go. I can put her in Harvard before I can put her in Baylor. So,
wow,
but,
yeah,
it's nuts, man. So,
yeah,
military helping out would be good.
Right, McKenna did some cheer early, but she seems to be lashing on to golf right now. She likes golf.
That's good, man.
Yeah, it is good for females. It can get a scholarship pretty easy. It really can.
I say it's a good scholarship sport. Yeah,
it is. It is for females, especially.
Yeah.
Well, Chuck, how in the world did you get into YouTubing? What in the world drew you to YouTubing, putting your stuff out there for the world to see?
Dude, I don't know. No, man. It's weird how this happened. So I own a business called 50 Tactical. We are the premier and largest training company in Oklahoma, and actually in several surrounding states. We do a lot of work. We built that brand up, and I was cop for my entire life. I started that company in 2016, and I didn't know anything about marketing, didn't know anything about social media. I didn't have a Facebook page until right before that. My sister made it for me. And I used YouTube to watch videos on how to fix stuff. That's kind of what I did. But social media started really cracking down on the firearms content. And we were, like I said, we were going live every week. I was producing short form content for that. We kind of hit our stride at a certain point when I just kind of relaxed, and I started doing, we did a deal called 60-second tack tips. And so we did some 3 minutes. So average, if we did a 7-minute video, it was very long for us, but we did a lot of this kind of live event stuff where we had Q&A. And so we were sometimes on that for about 45 minutes to an hour. As social media started restricting our access to post content, or our ability, I should say, I've always been a camper, always been a backpacker. My wife, on our honeymoon, we went to Washington State. We were backpacking about a good 12 miles a day, sometimes more. And we were there for about 10 days. So I'm from that background. And ATV riding to camp and stuff like that. We were doing a trail. The truck was my gift to myself when I retired from the police department and went to the AG's office. I put that, my brother-in-law, I got a buddy my brother-in-law at the time was a Jeeper. My father-in-law is kind of into overland. He bought a bone stock Sprinter van and just rigged it out his own self. He can take 2 sticks and build a house. So he was kind of into overlanding a little bit. Anyway, we put a trip together and did rim rocker. And I just threw a backpack or a mattress in the back of the truck. And that's kind of how I started. I posted those some videos and some pictures on our socials for the 50 stuff, and it trended. First social media let it be seen, and then it trended, and so I started seeing a pattern with that. And I was already doing that stuff anyway. I mean, I was going out and camping and things like that. And the more I took photos and stuff like that, and the more I put some short form videos up, the more I thought, there's a market for this, or there's some people that would watch this. Guys, listen, I had no idea there was even anything on YouTube about truck camping or anything. I wasn't into YouTube for that. And then I decided one day, I was like, I need to build a bed platform. And my buddy's a woodworker. If he's watching this is all because of his laziness. He wouldn't build he was too busy to get to the bed platform. And I just kind of like that when things, I'm like, I'll do it myself, but I'd like to farm it out if possible. And man, I sat there one day and I was frustrated and it was holding me up and it was my own fault. And so I said, damn, man, I'm just going to knock this out. So I went out there with a pen and paper and I went up in my attic and I had a bunch of, tuba twos. And I thought, okay, well, what can I do with that? And then I got online and I said, truck camping bed frame. And I got a dude named Crazy Quady, I think is the guy that I first saw. And he's kind of big in truck camping, not really an overlander dude. And I watched his video and it kind of affirmed kind of where I was going with that. I just took the 2x2 frame and ran with it. And I recorded that and stuff. And so that's kind of how that started. And I saw that there were people doing it. And I really only watched 2 or 3 folks, him and a guy named Brian Waters Outdoors. They're just kind of what I do. You just very everyday accessible content. And it kind of resonated with me a little bit. And so I thought, man, I'm going to go mess with this. And guys, I'm not a shy guy. And obviously, hell, I like to talk. And the video stuff and the production and I can hold a captive audience for, 12, 13 hours on a Saturday, 20 to 35 people. So I've been a teacher in different capacities. And so I kind of approached it as, at different times with different ideas. And ultimately, when I turned the camera on, I was like, guys, I just like to go do this and I'm going to record it. If y'all watch it, you watch it. And I in the earlier episodes, you'll hear me say stuff like, hey, I'm doing this for me, so sorry about this or that. And I was kind of apologetic about that. Now I just own it. I just turn it on. And if it works, it works, and that's the thing about YouTube. I had no idea. I was watching videos. I didn't know even how to upload one. I didn't know anything about that. I barely know the SOE or whatever, the stuff that makes my website function so I can get enrollments for classes, man. I'm just not that dude. But man, it's a hell of a lot of fun. And Les Stroud is to blame for all of this. Really,
you're right.
And I was a big fan of that. And I've always been into outdoor stuff. I've always been, like I said, whether it's hunting or fishing, I'm not very good at either usually, but I've always been into that stuff. I've liked being out there and I don't need anything. So it was very rudimentary at first. And you know how that goes. You start off one way and then next thing you buy stuff. Then if you get on YouTube long enough, people start sending you stuff. That's the craziest thing I've ever seen right there. True. It's still an adventure for me, man, every time we go out. But that's kind of the thing. We just started filming and I knew that I had, this is going to sound kind of packaged, but I knew what I like to watch and I like to watch cooking shows. You know what I mean? And I like watching stuff with dogs. So I just kind of was like, you know what? I'm just going to do the things that I kind of enjoy and I'm going to package that up. And so it just kind of lend itself to produce for YouTube style content. And yeah, man, that's just kind of how it started. It ain't a cool story. It's just one that just slowly over time. And it was slow going. I remember being excited, and I'm sure if I'm still doing this a year from now, come back and we'll have a conversation about what I think is amazing a year from now. You guys know how that goes, right?
Yeah.
When you get 600, you break a video, it's got 500 views, and you're like, oh yeah, and just chugging along to get to that monetization. And it's not because you do this for money, right? It's just that goal. And I'd set those goals for myself. And I'm fiercely competitive. I just am. My whole family, my wife, my daughter, were all like that. We're not fun to hang around. So, but I saw that and I saw those metrics churning away. And I didn't produce anything that I wasn't. The funny thing is I only throw up about probably half, if not less than half of what we actually do. But it just kind of started growing, man. And I remember I put up a fried bologna sandwich video. We were already monetized. I threw that, and it was, I don't even know. I don't remember what the deal was with it. I've tried to figure out what took off on that video, but man, I don't know. It's probably 170,000 views or something like that. And we got 1,000 subscribers off that. My goal was just to try to get 5,000 by the end of the year, and we surpassed that. And I think we're probably close to 10,000 now, which is nothing. Whenever you look at big producers of content and stuff on here, but it's still crazy to me, man. I don't even consider it. It's bizarre to me, but
yeah. Where'd the name come from?
everything I like. I couldn't put women in there. My wife wouldn't allow it. And there's really only 2 of them anymore anyway. So her and my daughters. So.
Kind of frowned upon.
Yeah. But it made the title too long as well. So, no, man, it was, that's just it. That's simple. And then preacher's name, I get asked that a lot. And that's, man, I like Westerns, and so Outlaw Josie Wales and stuff like that. And so Clint Eastwood's character, the preacher, when Pale Rider, I like that. So that's how it came to be. I call him a lot of other things.
Why did you decide to go with a truck setup and in the bed of a truck instead of something else?
Man, that's a good question, dude. I had, this is a super simple answer. I come from a tactical and a preparedness kind of background. I mean, that's what I'm doing every week in and week out, right? And so bug outs and stuff like that. Got oops moments. I'm just reading the comment there. Yeah, we get a lot of that because and I learned that from 5.0. We were very polished, and I did a video one day and I didn't have time to edit, and I just basically said it raw. And a buddy hit me up and said, dude, that's the best one you've ever done. And I've been doing them for like 4 years at that point. And I was like, hell, you should have told me that 2 years ago. But anyway, man, I looked at something that I didn't have to go and pick up. Now, at the same time that I'm going through this, remember, I bought the truck in 2019. I'm working at the Attorney General's office, and their office, my office is downtown Tulsa. There's a lot from 2019. I left the service. I only took 30 days off from retirement, and I went back to to another gun-toting gig. So there's a lot of changes in our country right about that time, right? So you got 2019 into 20. And so we had a lot of riots and protests and stuff downtown Tulsa by our office. And so I was needing... my truck is set up for camping in one aspect, and the things that y'all don't see is set up for other things that I feel are priorities. I just don't think that's something that most people are really into. And I'd really, to be honest with you, after 30 years and with the company I currently run, I'm burnt out to a degree on talking about violence, just to be honest with you. So I try to keep the two worlds separate. And that, excuse me, that allows me to really enjoy what we do with Whiskey Dog. So the truck, I looked at rooftop tents. I looked at trailers. I looked at, if he's ever watching or on our socials, you'll see what's his name from Okie Overland. He's been trying to sell me a tune for a couple of years. So I looked at those and stuff and different slides and stuff like that. Ultimately, dude, I load my family up in that rig. We're traveling all the time. Again, my daughter's a high level competitor in the things that she does. So we're always in Dallas a lot, and we travel all over. So the truck is more conducive. And in that environment, it serves that kind of dual purpose for me. I made it to where I could pull the stuff out pretty quick. And we're going to do that. Actually, we're going to do kind of a retro episode coming up. So you'll see a lot of the vintage camping stuff that I've collected over the years. But man, I just like it. There's just something about, I stop where I want to. I crawl in the back and I cook, I sleep, I do whatever. And so that kind of nomadic thing was very sexy to me, if you will. I used to do the very similar thing on a motorcycle. I would put my tent and all that stuff. So I did a lot of motorcycle camping. So having all your gear kind of, it goes, you know what, I kind of akin it to the backpack, a through hike. Like you have what you have. And so that's it. And so, that is your base camp. That is everything. It's your mobile station and stuff like that. It's your shower. I mean, everything. So everything in my rig, and there's a stuff that we haven't gone over that we'll go over soon in an episode. And I'll show you that you can literally function out of that truck for a sustained period of time. I mean, in every way that you can imagine. And so that's just something that I just don't know. I mean, I'm still at the phase where we're testing content styles, to be honest. I mean, we'll throw something out there that's stealth camping and stuff. And those are things. We did the Eureka Springs thing. I just wanted to camp in Eureka Springs. I just got back from there and I thought, man, I'm going to come camp this. So just off the wall crap like that is not probably for your audience, right? It's different. And that's the thing that I find interesting is the overlapping of car campers, truck campers, overlanders, and kind of the preconceived notions that we all have about one another, not accepting, different folk and stuff like that. And that's obviously not been my experience at all, especially with the overlanding group and stuff like that. So that's a long answer to your question. I just kind of that way.
I think you hit the nail on the head a while ago when you talked about two things, the cooking and your dog. And for me, there was one episode that stuck out. You talked about a experience that you had with your canine one time. It was a video that I watched a couple of weeks ago. You found somebody in some outbuilding or something, but but I'm guessing that, like, when you do your cooking in the back of your truck, it makes it's like a good studio too. It makes for a good
really
setting for a video.
And
I just love that. I love watching the cooking too.
I appreciate that, man. And that's the thing, I like to cook outside, but you guys do video production. When you can control that environment, right, you get better results typically. And so I can control the lighting, I can control the wind. And luckily, man, and I bought that cap specifically for what I'm doing now. I just didn't know I was ever going to video it, So, excuse me, those wing windows, man, those are a lifesaver when you're cooking in there. It's a really cool setup. And it's, I've got a rooftop tent. I just hauled it off the brand new in the box. I gave it to a buddy of mine. We're going to rig out his Chevy. You'll see him in an upcoming episode with a guy he's one of my assistant instructors on 5.0. And we're rigging him out a really nice rooftop tent. I had it popped up and was sitting in it taking pictures and stuff, and I'm like, I can see how y'all get down with that. I mean, it's a neat deal. And I don't know. I keep trying to get my daughter a Jeep for her first car, and she's like, "You just want a place to hang stuff, man." So,
okay.
She's wise. I'm like, yeah, but I'm paying for it. So
that's funny. Yeah. Would you consider yourself a minimalist or err toward having all the comforts of home?
I try a little bit of both, and here's my one caveat that I will not. I've learned over the years to not sacrifice on my sleep system. If I'm not sleeping well, that's going to be a long night. A long night makes for a long day. And that's something from if you've backpacked and, you know that's one of those things that, man, if you got 5 miles or a mile or 10, it just sucks. So I'm a minimalist in some areas. I mean, but I'm also a gadget guy. But I don't need gadgets for comfort. What I've learned coming from tents and stuff into the back of the truck is obviously it's a heck of a lot more warmer. It's easier to stabilize the climate in there for sure. But I don't, after getting the diesel heater and it does allow me to camp in crazy temps and stuff like that. But I don't like external heat sources. I don't like messing with them. I don't like setting them up. I don't like the constant having to, especially in spaces like that where you're, this setting is too high. This setting, it's the Goldilocks thing, right? Mm-hmm. And so you're always in a state of flux. Man, just give me a good bag and a dog, a specific dog, and then we're good to go, man. And so, down to about, I can go below anywhere from about 20 degrees below is a little uncomfortable for me at this point in my life. Didn't used to be, but you get a good bag, and I've just turned 52, and so if I prioritize sleep, man, I don't really care. I can cook on an open flame. That stuff doesn't really matter. I just like testing out that gear. I'm a stove junkie, and I'm a backpacking stove junkie. I don't like the big stuff. I like small. If you follow our other socials, you'll see I'm always, and I haven't done it in a while, but I've got like 3 new little stoves, alcohol stoves, and just different things, man. And I like cooking on that stuff. I like the challenge. We've got a thing coming up. I do a lot of baking. And so I've been working on recipes here and feeding my daughter. So I do some double boiler setups off of alcohol stoves and stuff. And so I would say probably more minimalist when it comes to that. But
my wife just said, "Oh my gosh, he's your twin," because when you started talking about that, I just looked over here at my big pile of alcohol backpacking stuff I had over here. I just created one, made one out of a Coke can last week.
Joey's got one that looks like it's made out of scrap metal.
They're fascinating. They're fascinating.
They are, man.
I absolutely love them.
And the technology that they're using, the solo stove people are making a killing off these, what Transient knew years ago. These fire pit stoves, it's that burnt gas stuff, the you ever do the cat food stove alcohol? It's easier than the pop can stove, but you can make one out of a cat tender vittles can or something like that. I did all that back a few years ago when I was just doing the backpacking stuff, and even, man, I was that nerdy kid that was like, I would read Soldier of Fortune, not because I wanted to be a mercenary, but they had survival stuff. You grow up in the 80s with a Rambo movie, so that's kind of where I came from with that, man.
That's crazy.
For sure.
We're all about the same age, so we
I'm the oldest. Can you believe it? I'm the oldest.
You're the oldest.
Out of the 3 of us here. Yeah.
Well,
my God.
this beard is disagreeing with all of it, man.
Well,
That gray will tell on you.
if the police department would let me grow mine like yours, I promise it would look like that. So,
Man,
I'd
I
have to
grew
be in
my
narcotics. I'd have to be in
Yep.
narcotics to be able to look like you.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to get your ears, you get your junior narc kit. You get your ear pierced, and a goatee is typically what they start with. And man,
Within
we'd go
6
to
months, you
state.
don't recognize them. That's the way.
No, we'd go to state narc conference. I'd be, look at that little baby narc over there. You got his cute little dangly earring and stuff. I'm like, we don't really buy dope like that no more. But whatever.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, it's so good times, man.
Well, hey, Oklahoma is not really a place where people think about going camping, overland and stuff. What are some of your favorite places that you like to go when you go out? Man,
that's been the best part about this, is just showing people what Oklahoma has. Excuse me, I got allergies bad, man.
I understand.
I love Southeast Oklahoma, and like I said, there's not really much short answer here, because you can go. The thing about Oklahoma is you can go 5 different directions and be in what looks like 5 different states. We've got 2 different mountain ranges. We've got deserts, so you can go to the sand dunes. So you can go out and see the real, that high desert Colorado type stuff, or New Mexico type stuff. For me, I'm a mountain kind of person. I like the green and stuff in Northeast Oklahoma, and I like those kind of the foothills of the Ozarks that we have up here. So the further you get towards that kind of state line, towards Arkansas, Missouri, I like that. But man, if I had to pick one, and I'll be back down there at the end of this month, is Southeast Oklahoma, which is little Texas at this point, unfortunately. If you're from Texas, sorry.
Yeah. But western part of the Ouachitas, that part of the Ouachita is just beautiful. Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, just you don't, when I send people pictures and stuff from down there, they just like, where are you at? They just don't believe that that's Oklahoma, But that's the cool thing about living here. I mean, we've got so many lakes and stuff. The bad thing is there's just no way to we don't have BLM land. There's no boondocking really land for here, man. And it's pretty rough to do that. And so that's one of the things that I prefer to do that. You can go into wildlife management areas here through Oklahoma Department of Wildlife Conservation. But man, to be really honest about it, most of them places are pretty sketchy. I mean, if you go right there, you're going to have to go to kind of an organized area. They don't have fire roads like they would in a national forest and stuff like that. It's just kind of not like that. Most of them, some of them do, and it's just law enforcement background. They're frequented by folks doing other things. And, I just don't want to deal with that. So that's one of and you get that state parks too. But, yeah, man, I wish that we had more. And that's one of the challenges, is trying to get out and go to Arkansas. And man, I'm still, because I'm in that state park mode. I've been over there. I used to ride ATVs and stuff over there every year. And so I've been to a bunch of the areas, but that was back before I was able to drop pins and, go back and visit all those. So I'm trying to find new locations and stuff and that are, because it's closer to go to Arkansas than it is to Southeast Oklahoma for me. So,
yeah, that's right.
Well, I know you've got a ton of training, and you're an instructor in a lot of things. But what I would like to hear about, in as much detail as you want to give us, the accident 2023, where you said your training saved your life, and you posted a picture on your Instagram how bad you were.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Man, so I was down for a family function. And so they were all kind of had some campsites set up, and we just came in. I taught a class that day on a range. And so we come in and we've got some setups. And so I'm going to be sleeping in a truck. And so I literally went out, realized that I didn't bring any wood. So I go out to get some firewood. So just enough so the girls can make s'mores. So I'm quite a ways from the campground in the established area. And I see a little spot. I walk off about 50 yards into the woods, and just kind of, I had my Silky big boy saw, and there was a down tree there. So I'm just going to go, scavenge off a couple limbs off of that, not sawing anything down that's standing, dead or alive. I get out there, and in my mind, you know how this goes, right? You think you hear things and you kind of remember things differently. In my mind, I heard something, and I remember kind of looking up, because I was bent down. And I look up, and I don't remember a whole lot after that. I just got punched in the face. And from my clothing and stuff, I never went to the ground. knocked my hat off and stuff. And what had happened was, after I'll be able to piece this together later. There was a Widowmaker hanging up there, and I just happened to be right there, and it didn't break and fall completely. It broke and it hinged, and when it hinged, I'm standing here, and it fell, and it just punched me. And there's a little knot on there, and that knot went down, and it got me right in here and right basically to the skull. And there's a sac around your skull and stuff, and we were right down there on that. And so bleeding and stuff like that. And just profusely, I couldn't see anything, and I managed to get my way back to the truck. If I hadn't had any stuff there, I wouldn't have been able. I wear contact lenses and stuff, so I'd already lost the vision in that one eye. It wasn't coming back, and so I'm trying to salvage everything. But to stop that bleeding, and facial cuts, they can just go and go and go. And it was a really good venous bleed too, And so, I mean, my beard was all drenched and stuff, and but I got my bag, and I keep a mass casualty bag in my truck. Excuse me. And I'm a tactical medicine instructor, and so I was able to get to that and get the bleeding stopped. There's no reception out there where I'm at, so there's no way I can call for anybody. So I kind of have to fix myself up to drive back to where I'm at and Raleigh with family and stuff. And so just the training component of that. And really what training does is in those stressful moments, as an officer, this, it allows you the freedom of thought. You're not freaking out. It's something that whether you've been there or not, you've trained for that situation. And so you've kind of placed yourself there mentally before, and that reduces that stress. And so able to control your heart rate and stuff like that, which helps your bleeding. But just getting all that stuff on and able to, and when I say that, where I was, I could have went off the road and tumbled, rolled my car and stuff like that. So being able to get my vision back, to doctor myself up to safely navigate, at a good click to speed to get back to where the family was imperative. Had I not had that, now there's a bunch of what ifs. I mean, would I have died? No, but if I had been out there and that had literally, if you see the scar on my eyelid, and if you saw those photos, and we'll talk about that part of it at length in a video coming up. But you're about a half a couple of 3 millimeters away from that having a puncture in your eye, which completely changes that scenario. And that's the part that we really need to drive home, right? It's the ones you get away with that people get complacent because they got away with it. I've seen enough in this job, or the job that I had over the years, and the training that we provide now, to know that, those things you're fortunate when it happens your way, but by and large, we're not that lucky a lot of times. And so being able to understand what you would do for a puncture of an eye, I mean, that's a very serious injury to have when you can't get back to your vehicle, when you have to get back, when you have to drive yourself or extricate yourself out of a situation. So the confidence, when I was walking back, I didn't know if I had an eye. Excuse me. I didn't know if I had an eyeball or not left. So that trying to maintain composure when you're walking back, 50 plus yards to get a med bag, and then look in and see if you actually have an eyeball anymore and stuff. That doesn't make you any, especially, it's just the training component. And that's one of the things that I think that we kind of have overlooked collectively. I don't care what your background or what your preference is, car camping, truck camping, backpacking, hiking, it doesn't matter. I've looked at the kits that are put out online and stuff, and there's some guys or some folks, I should say, that really know what's up. But by and large, those kits are all junk. And so one of the things that we're going to do in this upcoming content is just talk about, man, what do you need? We're out there. I carry stuff, some pretty advanced. It's advanced in its application, but not in how you apply it. I mean, the circumstances surrounding it. But you need to buy some burn medication, some burn stuff. If you're out there, and we all, and especially guys are guys and folks are folks and girls are girls, and there's a lot of folks that fall into campfires in different places. But look at my videos, man. I'm not trying to add that. I'm just that dumb. I burn myself all the time, so of course I'm going to prioritize that. But I'm talking burns that you're going to need to deal with that could really affect you from a hypothermia standpoint. These types of things that you need to get addressed. It's a simple $10 purchase, throw it in your truck, so we're going to talk about some of that stuff. But man, I'll tell you, and I'm fortunate or not, I've been in a lot of situations where I've had adequate training to get me out of them. And I've probably equally been in situations where I didn't have training, and just by the grace of God, I got out of them. Nothing motivates you to train more than those encounters right there. I promise you. True. And you know that, man.
Yeah, that's so true. That's so true.
Yeah.
My wife's told me so many times, we get in a situation, she's like, "You're so calm," and
Yeah.
well, 90% of the time, I have to be the calmest person in the room. Otherwise,
Right.
it's going to get
Yeah.
bad. So it's just
Yeah.
one of those
Yeah.
things. You just go through it, and that's second nature.
Mm-hmm.
So totally
Yeah.
understand that. Well,
Yeah.
you do a lot of you talk about a lot of gear all the time
Yeah.
on your channel and on your Instagram. What's some of your favorite gear that you like?
Oh man, you know the that damn gas one stove that I'm fighting every episode because I'm always scattered and I'm always doing something. You know, that's a simple piece, and it's something so ridiculous that whenever something as simple as your stove doesn't work, you know, it kind of throws you off and it just kind of gets you discombobulated. You know, on a simple, very simple thing. Again, that's it. My best piece of gear, honestly, man, is just my truck. You know, and that's a cop-out answer to some, but when I think of gear, I think of things that and I'll approach this, and I'll just be kind of, and this will tell you my background probably more than anything. I think that my best piece of gear is the gear that I haven't used. Excuse me. And again, I'm not trying to play semantics here. It's just like, I've got my tourniquet out there. I've got those types of things. Something that I take for granted, that we take for granted, headlamps. I had a situation where I was out in the middle of nowhere here recently, and my headlamp died. I went and got my backup, and the damn backup headlamp was dead. Now, I'm a redundant guy, and I got to my third in the which was an old school battery style, and the batteries lasted for it allowed me to get to another light source. But you know, little things that again people don't think about that you use every day. Everyday items are my favorite pieces of gear. I don't have. We've got a shower system. I've got 2 different shower systems. They're awesome. Power stations. I love those things, man. I mean, you know, anything that allows you to do what we do out there. But man, when I go out, if I'm not videoing, all I'm doing is sitting in the truck at the tailgate, usually leaning back on that bed by a fire. I may put a chair up or what, but me and the dog just kind of hang out and we go hike, man. So a good pair of boots is probably my best piece of gear.
I love
Not
that.
sexy, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Well, one of the highlights of your channel is your dog. Tell us about your dog, how you came across, and how you surprised your wife and told her, hey, go get the dog.
Yeah, this would be the best part of the show for her. Man, I've always had dogs. I was a canine officer. I had 3 different dogs. I trained a bunch of them. I did that part-time for a Tulsa police guy, retired, had a company. So I've always been a dog person. I had a dog. I had 2 dogs. When my wife and I got married, I had 2 dogs. And my lab of 15, he was almost 15, yeah. He passed away, and we had to put him down. So I had got the idea as he was getting ill to bring a puppy in to kind of help him, you know, kind of liven him up a little bit. And I wanted a Texas Healer. I'd seen that breed and stuff, and I just wanted it. And I'm fascinated. I like dogs that are trainable. I like training dogs and stuff, and it doesn't show in what I do with that dog, but I like training them. And I didn't have one as a breed I was interested in. So I sought one out, and somebody, don't forget the flask. Yeah, that's for sure. They had one about 30 miles from me, and it's kind of an off-the-wall breed around here. So I got him, and I did not. There's 2 things that I've done really dumb since I've been married. The first one was I went right after I was married. Well, there's more than that. My wife will definitely object to that statement. As would most wives.
That was the first thing that just went through her mind. 2? Really?
Yeah. We're cutting it short there. Well, you only got so long on a podcast. I can't talk about all of them, you know.
Exactly.
So the first one was I bought a motorcycle. That's a whole story that I do not want to talk about. But it's still in the garage. I haven't ridden it in years, but it's there. And this dog, my little girl went with me. I tried to ease that announcement with her, but it didn't work. But I bought this dog and I just brought it home. Surprise, honey. And you guys are married. I don't have to explain to you how that went for the next several weeks. And the bad part about it was I was leaving I brought the dog home on like a Monday. I was leaving like that Thursday, and I was going to be gone for about a week. I was going down to Texas to train with a company called Tactical Response and James Yeager, if anyone knows who James is, or James passed away now. But I was headed down there. So my wife had to take this dog that I just brought that she didn't want. About halfway to Texas, I get she sends me a picture. This is when I knew I was all right. It was close to Halloween. Matter of fact, that weekend was Halloween. And she sent me a picture of Preacher in a Maverick from Top Gun jacket. Her and my daughter went to PetSmart and bought him some clothes. I showed it to the buddy that works for me. I was training, or we were going to train with, and I said, I think we're going to be okay. I think I'm all right. When she starts buying clothes for the dog, I mean, that's why that dog's in there with her now. When he's at the house, dude, he knows who I am. I'm the truck guy. If he hears keys jingle, and he knows I'm a snacker, I'm snacking all the time. So he knows me for that. But at this house, he don't like me, man. That's my wife's dog when he's home. That's a secret reveal that you guys didn't know you were getting.
Yeah. Well, hey, this past weekend, we went to an event. There were tons of dogs. I took my dog. There were some there that were friendly, some not so friendly. You know, it was one thing that we had to do. We had to watch her all the time, who she was around, what she was doing, make sure she was fed, make sure she had water. There was a storm came. She got anxiety. So, you know, I know that you did this before you had this pup, and you said earlier that, you know, she's 4 years old. She's still in training. You still have a lot to do. How does that balance the work that you have to do when you take the dog and the enjoyment that you have when you have her?
Yeah. Excuse me. If you do not approach this the right way, the dog becomes such a taxing liability for you. And I've known people that got like really enamored with the idea of traveling with the dog. Now, you know, I did it for 8 hours a shift, and, you know, there's an hour before work, an hour after work. So I kind of was indoctrinated into it. But, excuse me, I'm a bird hunter. And so that lab that I had, Murphy was his name. He's a chocolate lab. So he was my first real truck dog. You know, I'd haul him around, and it was mainly hunting and stuff. But you have to plan, and this is what a lot of folks say. I don't go to a lot of events because I don't like having to tether the dog at the campsite. And there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, I don't fault anyone. It's just what you have to do, and it's just a part of it. But I prefer not to. So I try to, even if I'm at an event, I look like antisocial because I try to stay away. And that's just for the dog, because when he's confined, it stresses him. And when he's stressed, I'm stressed, and it kind of goes both ways. If you know dog owners, y'all know that. And so if you really overthink it, it can really kind of take the shine off of it. It doesn't bother me one bit because I know how to kind of have a system down. Something simple. I know I know how to structure his food, so I'm not really having to fight him and stuff like that. And he's not having to go potty in a campground where there's a lot of people sitting around talking. So structuring that. But the biggest thing, and here's what people that kind of maybe aren't dog folks don't really get sometimes, is that you're never done training your dog. Your dog's always in a constant state of training, and it's because they're pack animals. And the psychology, that's kind of what I get into. And he's a very dominant breed. That's that blue heeler in him. That Australian Shepherd, they're a little more malleable, but that blue heeler is dominant as hell. And so him and I will go round and round for dominance about once a month. He'll kind of push the envelope. We're not talking about nipping and biting and stuff like that, but just behavioral things. And so we'll do an obedience routine. Right now, we're dealing with, picked my daughter up from school at track, and a young guy came running out there and saw the dog. Preacher's always hanging out, and people pet him all the time. This guy come in and he grabbed him. He's a little wrestler guy, and he grabbed him by the scruff, and he kind of pulled Preacher to him, and he had that neck, and he kind of wrenched him. And Preacher I saw that lip snarl. So after that incident, he kind of, when someone came over the car, he kind of raised his teeth up and kind of snarled a little bit. It's unacceptable, and he's become territorial because of that incident. So what we did today, just kind of to drive home the point of you're never done. When I was taking that tent over, I brought some dog treats, and so I had that dude go back and kind of let him be sniffed, and then let him kind of work it, and then turn his hand over. And so we made him, having been approached by people while he's in the back of that car, a positive experience with that positive reward. So we ran a couple what we call hot ones like that, where he got a treat. We ran a couple, it's called intermittent reward. So we gave him a couple and this is through the course of while we were unloading stuff. He goes back over, and then he gets his hand up there, lets the dog do the engagement himself, then gets a little pet under the chin. And so he got a few that didn't get a reward. And so that's just kind of how you have to do that. And that's back to socialization. I mean, if he's out of the car, and which he was all day today, and I took him in all kinds of, he travels with me everywhere. Unless the heat tip is too much, and then we're working on systems for that. But, socialization, if we're not camping, wherever I'm at, he's going. If I can take him and I can structure my day to where I can go to places where he's allowed to go in, I take him in for socialization. So he gets weekly socialization, but they're always going to have those hiccups. But man, if you're not one, like I'm a poo picker. Right. I don't let him defecate and then just leave it, man. I don't. There's enough people in my neighborhood that do that in my yard for me. So, but I go out there and do that. So if you're not willing to do that, just leave your dog at home. I mean, it can be very romantic when you're watching stuff like that, but it's a pain. I mean, I will literally go when I go to see this, but there's times I'll go out to film an episode and there's nothing, there's not enough camp spots that are conducive to the way I like to do it, and we just go home. I just don't want to put myself in it because it's not fun for me, and if it's not fun for me, it ain't gonna be fun for him, Yeah. And it sounds like I'm just I'm not letting him have free reign. It's just I don't like to. I just don't like to have him tethered up. But if you're not willing to, if you're not willing to do that, and if you do tether him, then you're going to have to walk him a lot and stuff. And so, I love traveling with him, but I'm also not one of those people that. I don't want to do that. I don't play that fake service dog card. I mean, you can qualify and you can say you have PTSD after 3 days in law enforcement, but I don't do that. I travel with him. He stays in hotels and travels with our family at this point. So the only thing he hadn't been on is an airplane, and that's because I don't like to fly. So
yeah.
Well, you hit it on the head where you said it's an attitude. You got to go into it with the attitude. If you take your pet. You got to go into the attitude that's going to add enjoyment, not take away, because it is a lot of work. It is a lot more work when you take them.
Oh yeah, it's like taking it's literally like camping with a toddler. That's the best way I can equate it. You've got to pack the bag. You got to pack their food. You got to pack their water. You got to make sure that they go to potty. You got to make sure that they that they get breaks and that they're not bored, and you keep them entertained. And if you are not ready to have a child, you ain't ready to have a dog. So, but for me. It enriches the process. It enriches every adventure or journey, whatever that you want to call it. Wherever we're at, it just adds a layer of enrichment to it that I think. And my wife was not a dog person; she's always had them, but she will agree with me on that. After she started kind of embracing him, and we started traveling with him, kind of as a family instead of my dog and me taking him here and there. That's why they have the relationship they have now. I mean, she just really embraced it. And so she's kind of, ripped off. I know Bill's a local dude. He's in there probably, my wife's probably feeding him his third pup cup for the night. I promise, man. That dog, we come home from a trip and that dog will gain 10 pounds in 24 hours, man. So, yeah.
Well, you have a whiskey in your name. So we assume that you're a fan of the whiskey.
Yes.
What's your preference?
Man, it's kind of like my cigars. I like if I'm going to just have a simple. Well, it sounds bad when you say it daily, but just a sit on the bar, recreation. Everybody come over, drink. I like Elijah Craig. I think it's a little on the sweeter side. Basil Hayden or whatever. They've got a bunch of good stuff out. I am fortunate that. Through my training company and the stuff they got, like when we teach a class, I haven't had to really buy a whole lot of whiskey in the last couple of years because people are gifting it, and stuff. But so yeah, man, I'm trying to think of what I this was it says probably whiskey. That was some Four Roses small batch. My wife got me a little mixology kit. I think it was in the episode that just dropped, and it's for an old fashioned, and so it comes with all the stuff. And so I made a little Stanley. I rigged up a temporary Stanley kind of bar box for it, and we made an old fashioned and stuff like that. So that was better than what I had in the shelf in there. So I had it tonight. So
are you into the smoke? Are you into the smoke?
The smoked whiskeys, whenever Oh yeah, man. I've been back and forth on buying one of those little machines.
Yeah.
There's a restaurant close by here that we go to that does it. I like that stuff, man. I like smoke, so
it's interesting. Yeah, especially if you like cigars, you'll like that.
Oh,
Misty made a smoked old fashioned for me at their cabin one time.
I was there because she had just got that kit. And
that's right, you were there.
Yeah, we
that's
were
right.
there. And
it's
one
nice.
of the first times I've had one at home, and it was very interesting. I like it. I like the flavor.
Yeah, this kit, I was scared. If in that episode, you can see I'm obviously very surprised because I just don't have I keep my expectations low, so I'm not disappointed on stuff. And as does my wife.
Wow,
apparently.
that actually worked.
yeah. My wife's shaking her head, going, "Yeah, so did I." So, but man, it was really good quality stuff, and I don't drink a lot of mixed drinks. I'm a neat drinker. I like whiskey and scotch and stuff like that. And I like it neat. I don't like ice or anything. So for me to have a cocktail, it's got to be a pretty good one. And that's usually one that I would have if I'm, a pre-dinner or a post if I'm depending on what I'm having. But yeah, man, it's pretty good. I go in cycles, man. It's funny. People that know me, I may stop tomorrow and I may not have a drink for 3 years or so. I've done that over periods in my life at different times. I don't plan on it tomorrow. I'm enjoying the way it is now. But, a lot of times, when you're getting on there and stuff, that's one of those things I wasn't, you say something or do something. YouTube is way different than what I'm used to from social media accounts that I've had in the past with the other business and stuff. And so people approach you, they're different, they say different things, and they're a heck of a lot more nicer than the gun community is on Facebook, that's for sure. But they monitor things differently. They observe things. It's a different demographic, and that's one of the things that I really dive into the analytics. The Facebook stuff really helped me a lot, and so I'm curious about what YouTube shows you, but it's funny. You can see a certain segment of our population, of our viewership, whenever I was back and forth on a couple, and I had a little more sips out of a flask, and the comments were like a little too much. We call it two-stepping, right? I'll drink a beer and I'll take the two-step. And so they're like a little too much on the two-stepping. And so I had a bunch of people kind of regulating, and it's just funny because I'm just having such a good time with it. I read all those comments. I mean, I'm usually about a week or two behind in them because we're so busy with different things. And I try not to let that take over my life. I mean, I've got a family and a business that this is fun. And the moment that it isn't fun anymore, you won't see me on here. But until then, I mean, hell, we'll just ride it till it ain't,
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. Well, everybody who follows you at all we notice you like to cook. And one of the things that really caught my attention was campfire fried bacon wrapped honey buns.
Yes.
What in the world? Where did that come from?
Man, and to be honest with you, I saw that somewhere. And I'm not a TikToker. I don't even know if you can have TikTok now. I suck at social media when it comes to I don't peruse it a lot. When I did, it was for the gun stuff, and that's just so it's not even up anymore. But so I saw that scrolling through in a reel or something, I think on Facebook, and it was kind of a different version of that, and so it just got me thinking, and I was like, "Oh hell, man, I don't need much to thought on of bacon wrapped anything," and so I got that, and I messed with it, and I did one at the house first. Oh, dude. And listen, I have lost a lot of weight, and I wasn't a big guy anyway. I mean, I was about 230, kind of yoked up for the job, and I'm down to about 185, 180 now. But dude, I love to eat. I cook because I love to eat, and I don't. People are on there going, God, I can't. I can't do that. I've got this and that, and how do you? And people want to punish you and talk bad about you for eating stuff like I'm like, well, but I'll go out on an episode and just walking back and forth to get the damn cameras up is going to burn 2 miles at least, but we'll go hike 4 miles and something and come back. And so I think one episode we hiked about 8 miles that day, and then I cooked something that was not very healthy at all, but it was the only thing I ate that day. So it just kind of, you got to balance it out. But dude, that was nuts. That was if I'm going to cook something dirty, we're going to get dirty with it, So we've got some stuff. We got I won't give it away, but we've got some kind of more sweet, more like this last one I did that's how I normally cook around the house. So what you guys saw in the last one, I make it's really a Lebanese kebab, but it's served around Greek restaurants around this part of the state country. So I always set a Greek kebab on it, but that's how I cook at the house most times. Like we got a lean type protein, something healthy, and some vegetables and stuff. And bring it on, man, bring it on, Semper. But that's kind of how I cook. So I brought that out after the last one to kind of show, like, hey, this is, you can, and that's kind of the neat thing. And that's what people seems to resonate with, folks, is that I don't want to do anything that the average guy or girl can't go do. You know what I mean? I mean, there's that recipe that we just made. People are like, oh, wow, it's outside of my level. And I'm like, dude, you can make a hamburger. You can make that. I mean, you just throw some spices in there. But so kind of taking an approach to the cooking, because it can be very intimidating. And I grew up cooking. If you got 8 people in your family, you better be handy in the kitchen or somewhere, and my dad would have you outside doing stuff that was, working on masonry and stuff. So I'd rather be cooking than doing that. But, it just kind of it morphed as the channel has grown to where that Southeast Oklahoma, I sometimes I don't feel like eating when I get out there. I just don't. I mean, that's just kind of the dirty secret, and that's kind of, I got some stomach issues, and some guys you get out there and it's just not that day for you. You don't get to pack hump and go home 3.5 hours away from the house. So I just had to push through that episode, and we didn't cook, and I was curious how that was going to resonate. And what I learned was that resonated with new folks. And our tried and true, they watched it, but they also commented, "We love all that. We sure like that cooking."
Yeah.
So it's kind of I tell everybody, I'm like, I just do a cooking show in the woods, man. That's what I do.
Yeah.
So
Well, what's some of your favorite things that you've made?
Man, I love this because it's been a favorite of mine. And I used to when I was on, if my squad, I used to run midnight shift, or what we called Adam Squad where I was at. Most folks call it Charlie, but it was Adam Squad for us. And if my squad met their performance metrics, I was always, again, I'm competitive, so I didn't want to be lagging behind the other shifts. So I would set performance metrics for my guys to try, not tickets for anyone that's asking.
Yeah.
I was never a ticket rider, but I wanted the reduction in certain statistics, property crime. So if we met those, I would cook for them. And so one of the things that I always made that they wanted was fried peanut butter and banana sandwiches. And got a big old Elvis tattoo right there and a bunch more. So, man, I like that. And I like kind of introducing people to that. And that was a fun episode because it just was a fun episode. It was a crappy spot to camp, and I just had to make the best of it because the highway was just whizzing by right there. But that's it, man. And some of the stuff that we've got coming up that I've just kind of to be honest, I've been hesitant to cook it just because it's a little more labor intense, but I've kind of grafted and morphed my setup to handle that. So we've got some more, I think some exciting stuff coming up, and I'm not trying to drop teasers. It just is what it is. There's just a bunch of neat stuff that I think we're going to have that I think people will like. But the cooking thing, man, again, that's a self-derived motivation because I like to eat that stuff. So
hey, we like to eat. I like it when Joey cooks.
Yeah. Well, we cooked together. We cooked it this weekend together.
We had a fine meal Saturday, didn't we?
Yeah.
Dude, if you guys haven't, I made a steak in that episode. This is probably the best dessert I've ever had out in the woods. And I did, and I got this. This is another deal I got off. I may have saw this on Instagram or something. But it was, and I change everything. I mean, everything, you cook a recipe off the back of a box of macaroni and cheese, you got to throw your flair in it, a little garlic powder or something to make it yours.
Yeah. But, saturation.
Yeah, right. Like it's Cajun pasta.
That's right.
But there was some cinnamon rolls that I made in a Dutch oven, and I put heavy cream in them.
Mm-hmm.
Son. Boy, and if I love cast iron cooking. I love cooking off a fire, and I have way more setup than I have the ability and time to really show because I like that kind of bushcraft stuff too, and I really haven't incorporated that into the channel that much. That's a lot of stuff that y'all don't see is that, and so you'll see me mess around with fire starters and things like that, but I just kind of. Bushcraft is a ton of work, and I just don't want to take our channel down that road because I don't plan on doing it very often. But
so hang on. Did you did the cinnamon rolls and the
heavy cream
in a video? But in a video. Okay.
Yes, sir.
I've got to go find it.
Yeah. It's I think the picture on that one is it's a steak with some asparagus. It's a hell of a steak in that video too, man. I'm up on Lake Oolaga on that one. Yeah. Dude, I'm telling you, and it's not, and I don't really, they're hard to find. And I got this about, man, I probably got this 20 years ago. It's a little tiny, it's not a true Dutch oven because it doesn't have the Dutch oven top. It's just a little, like a 1 liter or a 0.5 liter Lodge. And you can put 5 cinnamon rolls in a little 5er pack perfectly in there. Throw a little bit of, what else? Oh, I put bananas. I sliced bananas up in there, and then I put heavy cream in there. Dude, it was stupid. I let them go a little too long. I didn't even matter. I'd eat them things burnt 5 days after. It was insane. So what y'all, I'll eat for a little bit. And these, I run DJI microphones, and I like the audio. I have a deep voice, and DJI picks it up pretty close without me having to mess. I get questions. People are like, how do you edit? What program do you use? Man, I use iMovie because I used for 5.0. I had, oh my gosh, I can't think of that. Anyway, it was a well-known one, and it was way too complicated for me. I just couldn't figure it out. And my brother-in-law, dude, was a video guy for Muskogee High School, and he's an IT admin now. The dude's a wizard. Self-taught wizard with this stuff. I look at his stuff, and so when I get compliments from him, he's like, "Hey, you nailed it," and I'm like, "Yeah, it's just horrible," But the microphones and all that kind of stuff are a big deal. I lost my train of thought. I got something ran off and fell off the thing over here. I got a moth or something. Sorry, guys. Just trying to get over here. I don't know where the hell it came in at, but just trying to get over my screen. Sorry about that. I was sitting there looking out of the corner of my eye, and I was like, I have no idea where the hell I'm talking about right now. It just, hang on. Okay. All right, I got it. Sorry about that, man. I only got 2 lights on in here, and it was headed to the screen. Oh, man. Anyway, sorry about that.
So good. No big deal. No big deal.
Oh man. Anyway.
Well, I want to encourage everybody to go and listen, watch, and support Whiskey Dog Outdoors on YouTube.
Appreciate
and on Instagram. It's at whiskey_dog_outdoors on Instagram. You said you have a website? Do you have a website for this, or is it?
I don't have a website for that. This is just find us on. We're on Facebook and of course YouTube and Instagram. But I'm obviously not very savvy about this because I just write my name down there. I don't put my ats and all that. I'm a horrible. I can promote on certain channels, but man, I don't. This is a whole new deal. And hey, I want to tell y'all something. I appreciate y'all having me on. I kind of catch your stuff whenever I'm out and whenever I can. I sit here and watch a lot of it at night at the house, and I really appreciate what you guys are doing. And you guys, out of all the podcasts that are kind of in this realm, you guys have the most diverse cast of guests and stuff I've ever seen on any podcast outside of maybe Joe Rogan. But you guys, I was watching and I'm not an overlander I don't identify with that. That's what you're supposed to say these days, right? I don't identify like that. Yeah. But I love doing that type of stuff, and I go with that group whenever I can. But I'm kind of out there in the middle. But you guys watching, there was the gentleman from, I think the family from South Africa. I love that one. He wrote a couple books. I've got
Graham Bell.
Yes, dude, love that podcast. Number one, because I've always wanted to put together some older rigs like he's got, I'm currently looking for a project, by the way, if anyone's interested to send me some information, or if you scout one out, I'm always looking 70s and 80s. But anyway, man, I love that. And then I would click through and I'm like, when you try to find some commonality, they're just good guests and good people. And so, man, to be included in a podcast that does something like that, it's very special. I appreciate y'all having me out, man, or having me on, for sure.
That's nice. I appreciate that. Yeah.
We love watching your stuff and love what you put out there, and definitely can learn a lot from you. And we definitely appreciate you taking time to come out with us.
Hey, man, enjoyed it, guys. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, Chuck, thank you so much for coming on. We wish you all the best this year. And whatever you do, hope to run into you somewhere. We will be at Overland of America. I believe that's where I met you for the first time.
I think so. Yeah. We'll be back out there.
So that's cool. Well, thank you, everyone.
We're going to try to make more of them.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
No, that's fine. Thank you, everyone who was listening. This will be live on all podcast platforms tomorrow. Thank you for our sponsors who make sure that we do this every week. Tony, thank you. For all that you do. And everyone who you fixed their vehicle this week, thanks you too.
I got to get it done because I'm going. I got to get it done because I'm going back out tomorrow.
Going back out. That's right. Going back out tomorrow with
Man.
Cotty Wample.
Yeah, buddy.
And see a little bit more of the Ozarks. Well, I hope everybody has a wonderful week. Get outside, learn something new, get involved, and don't just sit back and watch others make a difference. You make a difference. And whether you travel by rig or by shoe, whatever you do, look out for number one and don't step at number two. We're out.